When people talk about challenging video games, one title always comes up: Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice. And the question that gets asked over and over again is simple: how hard is Sekiro? Is it really the hardest game FromSoftware ever made? Or is it reputation exaggerated? Today I am going to break down exactly what makes Sekiro difficult, how it compares to games like Dark Souls, Bloodborne and Elden Ring, and which fights truly define its reputation. Let's start with the basics. Is Sekiro hard? The short answer is yes, Sekiro is a hard game. Unlike Dark Souls or Elden Ring, which give you multiple ways to play, Sekiro strips all of that away. There are no magic builds, no heavy armor setups, no summoning friends to carry you through a boss. It's just you, your sword and precise timing. That is why so many people ask why is Sekiro so hard. The answer is simple: it demands mastery of one system, deflecting, and it doesn't let you hide behind anything else. Many fans debate, is Sekiro the hardest Souls game? Some argue yes, because it's more mechanically strict than Dark Souls or Bloodborne. In Dark Souls you can grind for levels, summon allies or total behind the shield. In Sekiro you can't. Every fight tests your reflexes, your ability to parry and your knowledge of boss buttons. That is why I say Sekiro is the hardest FromSoftware game, and some even go further, calling it the hardest game ever done. A big part of Sekiro's challenge comes from its bosses. People constantly argue over who is the hardest boss in Sekiro. Some say Sword Saint Isshin, the final boss, is the toughest because of his multiple phases and unpredictable attacks. Others point to Demon of Hatred, a massive optional fight that feels like it belongs in Dark Souls more than Sekiro. And then there is Guardian Ape, the infamous boss that literally gets back up after you dissipate it. If you look at any Sekiro bosses ranked hardest to easiest, these three are always near the top. So, what is the hardest boss in Sekiro? It depends on your playstyle. Some of us struggle more with fast, aggressive bosses like Genshiro, while others hit a wall with Isshin. But one thing is certain: Sekiro's hardest bosses are some of the most rewarding victories in all of gaming. Now let's tackle the big comparison. Is Sekiro harder than Elden Ring? Honestly, yes. While Elden Ring has some brutal bosses, it also gives you summons, magic and the freedom to overlevel. Sekiro doesn't. That is why Sekiro is harder than Elden Ring. But what about Dark Souls? Is Sekiro harder than Dark Souls? Again, for most players, yes. Dark Souls has difficult fights, but you have far more options to make the game easier. Sekiro focuses you to get good. Compared to Bloodborne, options are split. Some say Bloodborne's aggression makes it harder, but overall most fans agree Sekiro is harder than Bloodborne. And what about other games like Nioh, Lies of P or even Ghost of Tsushima? You can hear debates like, is Lies of P harder than Sekiro or is Nioh 2 harder than Sekiro? The truth is, all of these games are challenging, but Sekiro stands out because of how strict its combat system is. Interestingly, Sekiro even gives you ways to make the game harder. Activating the Demon Bell or choosing the path of additional hardships make enemies more aggressive and gives bosses new tricks. How much harder does the Demon Bell make Sekiro? The short answer: significantly. Combine that with New Game Plus and the difficulty ramps up further. So if you even thought Sekiro is too hard, just know, there are players out there making it even worse for themselves. So what makes Sekiro's difficulty so unique? It's not just about reaction speed, it's all about rhythm. Every fight feels like a dance. You are not just dodging and watching for an opening, you are deflecting, countering and keeping pressure on your enemy. That is why someone who will go in expecting another Dark Souls often feel overwhelmed. But if you do put in the effort, every victory feels incredible. Few games match the satisfaction of finally taking down a boss that seemed impossible hours earlier. That is why Sekiro may be called both the hardest game I've ever played and also one of the most rewarding. So, after all of this, how hard is Sekiro Shadows Die Twice? My answer is brutally hard, but really fair. It might not literally be the hardest game ever, but it's certainly among the most challenging action games ever created. So, like, subscribe and keep your blade sharp, Shinobi, even if it feels hard.